here's how to achieve way beyond what you're currently achieving and way beyond your imagination. And I'm going to back this up with facts and personal experiences. Now, Henry Ford said, you either think you can or you think you can't. Either way, you're right. When I was at the British Championships, 100 kilometers, I remember the day before the race, I got in with the management and they asked me what my target was for the day, the next day, for 100 kilometers. And this was something I was training towards for a long period of time. I wanted to be British champion. I wanted to run for Great Britain. And I would be training specifically to run 4 minutes per kilometer. Training specifically for 50 kilometers at a time, 60 kilometers at a time, 70 kilometers at a time, and many, many marathons faster than that. I've been training specifically to run 4 minutes per kilometer, which was 6 hours and 40 minutes, exactly. Just 400 minutes, 4 minutes per kilometer for 100 kilometers. And that thinking had come from 2010, way before, years before it had come from 2010. In 2010, I started running for the first time. And the 3rd, 4th of January, I got back from a cycle trip in Asia, went for a run. I said I was going to go out for an hour. I went out and I came back after 500 meters. I was dead. All the cycling fitness hadn't turned into fitness for running. But I knew that I loved it. And I knew that I was so bad that I could only get better. And that it was a short period of time, and a short period of time that the progression curve, the learning curve, and the improvement curve would be wild to begin with, and that would give me lots of feedback, positive feedback, and then once I know it, I'd be in a loop, and that's exactly what happened. And I remember it was super hot in Thailand, and I was going out, and I was running for a kilometer at first, a minute at first, just kind of like running, walking, and then getting into it, and then I would go, and I'd go to Google, get myself a training plan a bespoke training plan, not a bespoke, off-the-shelf training plan from Google, and then I would go and I would do some interval sessions, and I would do a long run, and then I would gradually get back, and then I could run 5K. And I remember getting back in the April, May, getting back, and I've got times on park run. You can look at this on Power of 10. I remember going and running a park run in 18 minutes and 50 seconds. And literally 3 weeks later, just 3 weeks later, running 16 minutes and 30 seconds. And then I thought, right, okay, I think I can run a 10K. So I signed up I didn't sign up actually. Somebody gave me a bib. So somebody gave me a race number for the Bupa Manchester 10K in May 2010. And I ran it, and I ran too fast for the first 3K. Had to stop and walk. I was dead. My heart rate must have been insane, but I didn't have that kind of watch. I was wearing a Casio watch at the time to time it. I ran it. I was running towards Man United's ground at Old Trafford. Had to stop 3 times during that 10K. I just thought, oh my God, I had to get to the end. I had to get to the finish. And I felt like I was being chased by thousands of people, which I was, because initially I was towards the front, and then I was just losing places, because I'd gone out too fast. And I finished it in about 39 minutes and 50 seconds. So under 40 minutes. And my thinking there was simply, if I can run now, after 5 months training, if I can run under 40 minutes, and apply that to wherever you are right now. If you can run at 10K in 60 minutes, fantastic. But it applies, this applies. I thought to myself, if I can run 10K in 40 minutes, then it's only a matter of training that I can run that pace, 4 minutes per kilometer for a marathon. And then it's only a matter of training, because somebody then invited me to an ultra marathon in Spain, and that was the first time I heard about ultra marathon runs. 50K uphill, and I just wanted to finish in 8 hours. And you know the story there, or you can watch the story somewhere in my videos. But then all of a sudden I found out about ultra running. I found that there was a 100-kilometer race. I was 27. So I thought to myself, the only way I can make this into a living is to become a good ultra runner, because I can't become a good marathon runner now, because I can't break 2 hours, 10 minutes for the marathon. I'm too late to it. And maybe I underestimated myself there. And maybe if I really concentrated, I could have, because I soon got close, relatively close, around 2:21 for the marathon eventually. But the same year, I did the 100K for the first time. But in 2010, my thinking was, if I can keep 4 minutes per kilometer for 100K, I can do the 100K in 6 hours and 40 minutes, and then I could probably win, with that time, I could probably win the British Championships, and then I could probably run for Great Britain and try to become world champion. That was my thinking, because if I can just improve a little bit of percent from there, I can run about 6:20. 6 hours, 20 minutes for the 100K usually would win me the world championships. And that was my thinking back in 2010. And that's essentially what happened. And the reason that applies to you is because essentially running is about building your endurance. building your speed, but building your endurance so that you can run that speed and run it further and further and further. Now, I'm not saying that you can go out and run like a 30-minute 10K runner can then just run that for 100K and then run crazy speed for the 100K. It doesn't work there. We all have limits. But what I'm saying is, if you're starting and you've after 5-6 months, you can run a certain time, the chances are that not only can you improve that 10K time or 5K time, but you can also hold that speed and go further. So whatever your 10K time is at the moment, the chances are that you can run a marathon in exactly the same pace. Exactly the same pace. It's just a matter of building your speed endurance and building your endurance. And what I will say here, and this is definitely 1,000,000% true. The amount of 16-minute 5K runners, so apply this to your own time, but the amount of 16-minute 5K runners is massive in the UK. It's massive in America because it's a time that everybody sort of can manage. It's about 3 minutes 10, 3 minutes 15 per kilometer, about 3:12, 3:13 per kilometer. It's something that a lot of people are trading towards because it's 5-minute miles there or thereabouts, a little bit more. And people think they can push it for 5K and run 16 minutes. And therefore, a lot of people, what they're aiming for, they will achieve. Now, if you take that to 14 minutes for 5K, so you're running less than 3 minutes per kilometer, about 2:50, 2:45. It's so much less people. And the reason for that is because people are aiming safe. People are aiming safe. And yes, of course, certain people have limits and they're not able to go faster than 6 minutes. And certain people are topping out. They're maximizing, optimizing their ability at 16 minutes. But there are so many, let's say 1,000 people can do that in the UK. Of those 1,000 people, I would bet that half of them, if they trained specifically and really went for it, they could run 40 minutes. But they don't have the courage and they don't have the belief system in order to do it. Now, for me, what I will do in the very, very near future is try and run 40 minutes for the 5K. And that's the same thing because this is somebody who's come from an ultramarathon background, only ran 2:21 for the marathon. So relatively, 14 minutes isn't achievable, shouldn't be achievable. But if you think about it, it absolutely is. If you think about it in terms of percentages and about absolutely going for it and the mentality, again, the habits, the systems and the processes that you'd need to put in place in order for me to run just 2 minutes quicker or just a minute quicker from where I can run 15 minutes for 5K comfortably. Now, to run a little bit faster and to really get, and that would usually get you in the top 2 every year. If you ran 5K in the road in 40 minutes, that would usually get you in the top 2 in the UK. I don't know what it gets you in the US. Probably many more people can run 14 minutes. But the amount of people that can run just under 16 minutes, because that's what they're aiming for, is frightening. And I'd say half of those people can run 40 minutes. And if you're running 40 minutes for a 5K, you're winning most of those 5Ks. And then it starts to get serious for you because you're able to run, if you can run 40 minutes for 5K, you can then run 28 minutes for 10K. And I'm not messing up the maths there and just doing double and thinking, all right, well, everything's great because you can then do X amount of time for the marathon. If you can run 5K in 40 minutes, you could probably do 28 minutes, 29 minutes for 10K. And it gets very, very, very serious for you. So apply that to your times. If on the women's side, apply it to your times, but it's a belief system. If you believe you can do it, and if you're crazy enough to think you can, remember, I could just about, and I had to stop 3 times in that 10K, I could just about run under 40 minutes, and I managed to run 6 hours and 41 minutes. Yeah, 6 hours and 41 minutes for the 100K. So eventually, I did make it happen. Yeah, and that was my first try at 100K. So I went out at 4 minutes per kilometer, and when I'd sat with the management team the day before, they thought it was crazy to go out at that pace. They thought it was an insane thing, and I should be more conservative, run slower, and come in at 6 hours 55. What's the difference? Both 6 hours 40 and 6 hours 55 would both be equally as difficult to do. And when you're training specifically for something, 4 minutes per kilometer, 4 minutes per kilometer, 4 minutes per kilometer, over and over and over again, essentially that's what you're training your body to do, your biomechanics to do, and your energy systems to do. You've got to believe in yourself and you've got to go for it. If you get anything from this video, if you're training for something and you don't have the belief that you can do that, if you think I'm just talking nonsense, please let me know in the comments, because I would love to help you kind of rationalize what your thinking doesn't allow you to believe that you can do. Good luck.